It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone.
May the 4th be with you. Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. We are your network to heal our heroes throughout the country. I want to wish everybody a happy 4th of May. We have been very busy in the last couple of weeks following a lot of post-traumatic issues that are occurring within our law enforcement and our first responder communities that are not being addressed properly. So my plea is to the commanders and to all the chiefs out there to make sure that your programs that you have in place are effective enough and confidential enough for our memberships to really reach out and be helped, because not enough is being done. We are increasing in suicides. We're increasing in domestic issues because of the coping mechanisms that are not being presently put in place to help everybody deal with their issues. You agree, Sam?
I do.
Wearing a bra on her ears.
We got serious really fast. This is my best attempt at Princess Leia, which is pretty pathetic. So I'll go ahead and take this off. Hey, everybody. Yes, may the 4th be with you. A little humor, but in all seriousness, a lot has been going on. I want to just start off by everybody just come live if you're watching on the comment stream and congratulate John, because over the weekend, he and his partners at 99% Radio Network, they're part of a law enforcement motorcycle club called Third Watch. This was the 2nd annual Ocho Awards, and you want to talk about making a difference. I mean, this is called Mad Radio for a reason. The law enforcement and law-abiding motorcycle clubs that were recognized and honored on Saturday night, just amazing human beings. We're talking, everybody gets in a picture in their mind about, oh my God, motorcycle clubs,
right.
These big burly guys. And yes, some of them are big and burly, but you know what? You think you look twice when they win awards for raising $200,000 for children's advocacy. Yes, right. I did say $200,000. These clubs are going above and beyond. So, John, I just want to congratulate you.
Oh.
Another phenomenal Ocho Awards.
Thank you.
It is clear that you pour your heart and soul into those awards. It's and U12 Mongo and Megan, tough decisions in terms of who the award recipients were this year, because everybody in the room
Deserved it.
is making it. Yes, absolutely deserved it. And I also would be remiss if I did not mention our partners in fighting and smashing the stigma with post-traumatic stress, Eric Provo and Meg out of Virginia. Pathfinder is Eric's road name.
Well,
and does Meg have a
Meg?
It's Meg. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, that's really original, guys. Okay.
Meg.
Anyway, Eric was the recipient of the brother of the year, and there was a moment that really hit home with everybody in attendance. First of all, there wasn't a dry eye in the place.
That was one of the most powerful moments I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah. Brought the award show to a standstill when we had a veteran. For those of you guys who don't know, and probably our listeners don't, because Eric is the most humble human being. He does things from the heart, very quietly, but his background as in special forces, as an Army Ranger, he was involved in the rescuing of Jessica Lynch. And what none of us knew in that room was we had a veteran who was promoting he and his partner's veteran organization that does phenomenal work in our community. He was there too. He was part of the 82nd Airborne. So you had the Special Forces, the Rangers, and Airborne, same place. And through comms, that means communications, for those of you who are not up to speed on that kind of chat, through comms and some just talking back and forth at the site, at the rescue site, 20 years has gone by. Almost 20 years,
almost
19 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this veteran hears Eric's voice, and Meg is introducing Eric, and it all comes flooding back. And like I said, it's been 19 years, and Gabriel, veteran, goes up on the stage, motions to Eric. Eric turns around. They share this incredible embrace. And like I said, there's not a dry eye in the place. And really, there wasn't a dry eye when we realized, when they said what was going on and how long it had been, and how they both battled. Okay. They battled their demons, suicide attempts, multiple for both of them. And they found a place in Garland, Texas, to heal another wound, to put to rest, some of the things that happened to them on that day, because they're brothers that found each other again. And it just, I'm just trying not to get choked up again, just talking about it. And that's why we do what we do.
We had Gabriel, and talk about a trigger moment. 19 years later, and just the sound of his voice was the trigger that put Gabriel into motion. But I got to talk to Gabriel today about some of it, and I asked him to go into a little detail. During the rescue of Jessica Lynch back in 2003, Gabriel was on a Black Hawk helicopter coming in, and he thinks Eric was also on a Black Hawk, but he was a Navy corpsman. A corpsman for the Air Force, I think, working with the Air Force in special ops. So when they landed, and when they were going into the hospital, because they had the information and the intel that Jessica was in the hospital, Eric was right behind. Eric walked up to Gabriel and said, "You mind if we take the lead?" And Gabriel was like, "Yeah, go ahead. You guys could take the lead into the hospital." And Eric turned around and said, "Hey, you just got to breach this door for us." So Gabriel's team breached the door to the hospital, and then Eric's team ran in, and that's when they found Jessica in the hospital bed. And it wasn't until Eric goes when Eric first made contact with Jessica Lynch, he asked her, he said, "Where's your flag, soldier?" That sparked a trigger of a voice memory with Gabriel. And when Eric got up on the stage and started talking, he must use the same inflection that he used back then that triggered Gabriel going, "Oh my God, that's the guy 19 years ago that was in the hospital with." Another little tidbit of information was when they took Jessica out of the hospital and going to load her up, Gabriel's in the basement on the floor, and they were searching, and they found another Army soldier who was deceased, Lori. I don't remember her last name, but Eric went back into the hospital and just to make sure that those guys said, "Come on, we're going, we're leaving, we got to get out of here." He never left a brother behind. I mean, it's chilling thinking, like you said, that both these men who were on the same mission met here in Garland. And what do I always say? Certain paths cross for a reason. Look at me and you. We were both at 9/11, didn't know each other. But here in Texas, for some, at an event, boom, our paths crossed. And Gabriel's going to be talking to Eric on a normal basis now.
Mm-hmm.
They've exchanged personal information because now that he lives on the East Coast, and they're going to be able to heal their wounds. They're going to be able to finally put to rest after 19 years stuff that they were battling with because they were both there. And I think that's an amazing, amazing story.
It was an amazing story. And I'll throw one other thing in. So this was Saturday night. Saturday morning, I was with a Marine who was at the battle and fought in the Battle of Al-Nazariya, where Jessica Lynch was abducted.
Wow.
When they got lost. Yeah. So that whole evening was like, oh my gosh, it was like all of these forces coming into one. And you know what? We're talking about forces coming into one. I want to make a transition here because we have got somebody who is a force of one on the show tonight. He created and he publishes the largest law enforcement online magazine that exists in the world. I think it's like over 75,000.
100,000. He's up over 100,000. He said
up over 100,000 readers now and
subscribers. Yep,
is making a difference for so many people. And I want to bring on the show Michael Blues Barron from Blues.
Sorry, I don't have any lightsabers. It's a shame this wasn't tomorrow because I have a sombrero I could have worn.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, next year we'll have to book the show
on the 5th so I can wear my sombrero.
That's right. And we can drink margaritas.
That's right. We can have margaritas and hats and
there you go.
That's the good time.
One big healing party.
Well, welcome, Mike.
Welcome to Mad Radio. Mike Barron is again, he is the creator. He's also the publisher of the Blues Police magazine. And I'm imagining that this magazine is worldwide. It's not just, even though most of the readership's in the US, it's got to be worldwide now. Tell us how you got here, what you do and why you do this incredible, huge magazine.
Well, it really all started when I was a rookie at the sheriff's department back in the 80s. People go, oh, the 80s, I was like, well, I was only like 12 when I started. I was the youngest person. Actually, it was when the union was formed and we didn't have a union. And so the union started and they came to us and said, this other deputy came and said, hey, you're going to be on the board of the union. They want a newsletter. Well, you want to do the newsletter for the union? And I said, does it pay? And he goes, well, I don't think so. I think he wants you to do as a volunteer, but you could sell ads and split the money with them. And I'm like, nah. if we're going to do the paper, well, we're going to split the money. Why don't we keep all the money and let them have the paper? And he goes, oh, so that's how it got started. It was really going to be a union paper. And we decided, hey, and so we came up with the name County Blues, which anybody that lived back in the 80s, there was a TV show called Hill Street Blues. And so we basically named it the Blues after Hill Street Blues.
You all be careful out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Y'all be careful out there. And use the same type style. So that's how I got started. And it was really an avenue for the deputies at the sheriff's department to be able to express their concerns about the department without retribution. Well, that was all fine and dandy for about the first, 9 months. And we had a new sheriff. And the sheriff that was there prior to the new one, we started the magazine in December. Well, Sheriff Hurd was there. And he's like, Barron, it's a great idea. I think you should do this. Well, he was all on board with it because he knew that Cleveland-Hagen wasn't going to like it. So he was like pushing me to do it. Cleveland-Hagen comes along, and about 7 months into it, he's like, Barron, I don't really like this. You got to stop doing this. I went, I don't think you can tell me that. Yep. You got a choice. You either quit or quit the magazine or the newspaper. That was it. So I said, I think I need to call my attorney. So my attorney came up there and sat down and talked to him. And I told Sam this story. So, he said, you know what? You're right. I can't tell you what to do when you're working, but when you're off, I can. So, I mean, when you're off, you do whatever you want, but when you're working, you can't do this. So I thought, okay. So I walked out there, went back to the station, went in the captain's office. He goes, how did that go? Well, it was pretty good. And he goes, you feeling pretty good about it? And I went, yeah, I guess. I mean, until I can do whatever I want, I'm off. He goes, well, I got bad news. You're not on the day shift anymore. You're on nights, starting tonight. I'm like, it's 5 o'clock. I got to start tonight. He goes, yep. But that's not the bad news. And I said, what's the bad news? Change your days off, too. You're off Monday and Wednesday. I said, Monday and Wednesday? How does that work on the night shift? He goes, I don't know, Barron, but you thought it went fine, so you figure it out. So it didn't go smooth at first, but, it gradually grew, and we started out in Houston and then gradually went all over the state of Texas. But it was never really more than about 30,000 people and, I don't know, 20, maybe 20 pages, 30 pages. And the fellow that ran it, he took it over when I started at Galveston. And when I was in the airborne, I was flying. I didn't have time to do it. So HPD retired officer took it over, and he ran it for 25 years. I found out in 2018 that he either passed away or for whatever reason, he stopped doing it. And so I said, you know what? A digital would probably work. And so we started a digital magazine in December of 2019. We only had 10,000 people and really started all over again. Well, I don't think COVID did two things for us. One, it severely limited the amount of ads that we could sell because people weren't spending any money there because of COVID. But what it did do is a lot of people were finding different avenues to read things and do things at home. And the fact that we were able to put the magazine together online, do it from our home office, and promote it so heavily that we did, in the 2 years, it's gone from 10,000 to over 100,000 readers a month, which in our wildest imagination, we never thought that it would grow that fast. And the first one we did in December was 60 pages. And this issue is 140. So
140 pages.
140 pages. And it has to be digital because if we printed that would cost us about 80 grand.
Right.
We don't
plus it would be really
$80,000.
heavy. Yeah. And nobody would want to carry that around with them.
Yeah, it'd be about that thick.
Yeah.
So it's funny because the younger officers, they're like, Barron, when are you coming out with an app? And I said, well, we send you the link. You just click on the link. Yeah, but we want an app. But the app just takes you to the link.
Yep.
They go, you don't understand. You're an old guy. We just need an app. And the older guys are like, when are you going to come out with a magazine, something we can hold or read? And I'm like, we don't do that anymore. They're like, why? And I go, because it's all digital. Oh, you people with all this digital stuff. I like a magazine, and it's strange. It's got that probably in about the 40-year range, 45. The older guys, they want to read something. Younger guys, all he wants an app.
Well, it's like I go back and forth with my son who's in high school, which is really young, and everything that they're doing is online. There's no more worksheets or anything like that. In art class, there's real art being done, but it's the same thing. And so my brain is like, hey, an app would be great. And he is the same thing. Everything's app online, because you can be anywhere and just scroll through and read. And even books, I like paper books. I like to hold books, underline the whole thing. And it's like, oh no, Kindle, and you can do tabs. And I was like, that's not a book,
right?
Right. So it's a storage device. So I find that interesting, based on.
And to be honest, I mean, the only magazines that you get anymore, like I used to be, you could tell by these trophies behind me, I was big into racing and cars, and I love car magazines. At one point, there were 22 car magazines being published. There are only 3 today. That's it.
Yeah, it's all online.
Well, everything is online, and it's
I don't know.
New world.
I don't know how magazine companies stay in business. Because I'm big into the motorcycle magazines. Like you got Easy Rider, you got Cycle Source, all these motorcycle magazines. We don't have the newsstands anymore, really, where people are purchasing.
Barnes and Noble. That's the only place you can find them.
Yeah, but when you look at, especially because I'm up there, I'm 55, so I like the online stuff because the color graphics are much better. There's more interaction. I think it's easy to scroll.
Well, the cool thing about digital is like we get an updated from T-Cole twice a month on all the outstanding listings for patrol officers or deputies, officers around the state. We get that twice a month. Well, we update the magazine 2 to 3 times a month. Sometimes we update it every week. Well, if you printed it and you found a mistake, well, you're just living with that for a month. But as it stands now, we can update the magazine every day if we want to. And y'all can place an ad, or anybody can place an ad with a digital link, and you change the link as often as you want. Because in the magazine, when you click it, it's going to go wherever you tell it to go. And so there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with digital that you can't do with a printed magazine.
Now, where do you get your ideas for articles? Because you have me and John, we contribute to an article to the magazine every month, but there's a lot of other, like Dr. Jackal, she's been on the show, the amazing things that she's doing with the Sheriff's Department and bringing down the stigma and successfully using EAP. You do commemorative articles as well. I mean, we're going into Police Week, so but the other ideas, where does it flow from?
So when one issue's up, you think, what are we going to do for next month? Well, we pretty much have what the covers are going to be, and we have a general idea what that cover and the feature story is going to go with it. Everything else, you're like, I don't know, what are we going to do this month? And it just falls together. And every month, if nothing else, if you went back, say for the last 24 months, it's hard to believe that we're actually in 2.5 years into the digital. If you went back and just read the war story and the aftermath, you didn't read anything else. There's some powerful stories in there.
Yeah.
A lot of stories about people who thought about taking their life and didn't, and why they didn't, and the people that interacted with them. There's some pretty powerful stories. We ran one last month from a widow that lost her husband to suicide. And it wasn't a very friendly story. She wasn't very happy. And she was writing it to him saying, yeah, your problems are over. What about mine? What about my problems? What about these kids? And they're not going to have this, and they're not going to have that. Well, there were some people that wrote in and said, we don't really like that story. Well, see, that's the great thing about stories. Not everybody has to like them.
That's right.
But
you
that
person, right through it.
Yeah, she wanted to express what her feelings were. And so we did it anonymously. She got a chance to say what was on her mind. If you don't like it, well, you write in and say what you don't like. Write about your own story. And so that's kind of the cool thing is that it's open to anybody to express what they feel like doing. and I don't have a lot of assets. So somebody, if they don't like what they want, all they can do is sue me. They're getting zero.
You
from
mean
my
you mean
fee.
you mean
So-
your magazine is what do they call it? Oh, freedom of speech?
Yeah.
Yes.
Real
Well-
freedom of speech.
One thing about this country, you have the freedom to speech. You can say whatever you want. Also, anybody has the right to sue you for anything they want. And even if they sue you and you're right, you still lose because you have to hire an attorney and spend the money. So
Right.
I'm just putting this out there publicly. You do not want to waste your time suing Mike Barron. Let's want some of my little stuff back here. Because other than that,
I
I'm
want
nothing.
that little yellow helmet right there.
There you
know
go.
what? And so, dude, it's funny. Where's that at? Do you know who wears this helmet? Do you have any idea who that is?
Oh, that's
You
that's a
Who is
Lamont.
that?
He was on the show, the race car
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, he was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I don't watch that. I watched that race car
I
show.
don't watch it either, but don't tell anybody. LAO, I saw it. No, I didn't really see it. But when he won the Indianapolis, he sent me this, and it was like a little mini helmet that he wore.
That's
Oh, wow.
cool.
Because my brother was a higher up at Shell. Let's just put it that way. And he retired. Now all I have is the memorabilia. I have nothing to go with it. But
Very cool.
Well,
not to
you
get
know,
all
you
this,
talk-
but if you ever get a chance to go to the Indianapolis 500, you should do that before you die. Everybody
Really?
should go there. That should be on a bucket list. Kiss the
All right.
bricks. And it is an experience that I want to go one more time, but it is something else. You got to go do that.
I guess you got to get tickets like a year in advance. I
Um,
hear for these races.
I know the owner of the track now, so you just call
All
me.
right. Well, poo-poo, John. That sounds like a.
So let us know when you're going. We'll tag along.
Well, this week's is in 3 weeks, so maybe next year we'll make plans. We
There
have a
you
whole-
go.
You know what you need to do? You are on the show. We'll take a whole bunch of retired cops and military with us, and we'll have the whole section. How about
That sounds like a
That
plan.
I'll talk to
that
Roger.
sounds like
and we'll
a
see if we
plan.
can make that happen.
That's so you know you just talked about the sections, the war story and the aftermath, because you sent me a private email once with one of the stories that you ran, and besides everything that you think about that goes into any magazine, online or print, you have ads, you've got the cover story. It's really in these little vignettes and reading about the smaller departments, because everybody knows, okay, we're in Texas, Dallas and
Right.
Houston and San Antonio.
Right.
But it's what happens in Little Rowlett or Little Rockwall or, other small towns. And whether it's a suicide attempt that they decided not to complete, whether it's an actual suicide, and the impact that the first responders responding to a fellow first responder. This is where I think for the magazine, where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
Because and I'll say we collectively as Blue, we don't want fantasy. We want reality. And I think that there's a shift that's starting to take place. And Mike, you're a huge piece of this, just like, John and me and Jeff and John, and is that it comes to a point where the higher ups, the command, they're reading this. They've got to pay attention. It can't just be, flipping by, which you can when it's online. I want people to understand there's an arrow and you do flip the pages.
Yeah.
You can't keep flipping through those pages and through those stories. Those are your men and women.
Right.
They just may not work for you, but there's no department that's immune from these war stories and these aftermath, what you include in here. And I guess it's more of a plea that please just take the time and read it and understand the impact that that a training officer, if you're listening and you're a training officer, sergeant, lieutenant, assistant chief, deputy chief, the difference you can make for your men and women by just taking a minute and reading that, you could save their lives.
Oh,
you
exactly.
alone.
And, if you read these, if being any kind of a supervisor or someone in charge, you can't help but think that at some point you have to realize this could be my people. There's no way you're going to read those month in and month out and not come to the conclusion that this is going to affect you one day. This is going to come home to your department. And if you take action right now and you look at all the different programs that are available, even if it's going to roll call and we have one of the, I don't know the name of the organization, but even if you just shared the name of organizations that they can call, one of the cop suicide hotlines or whatever, even if you just said, hey, I'm going to put this on the board,
right?
Anybody needs it, It's there. Even if you just said that once a week, but I don't know, I'm not.
Well, that goes back to muscle memory. If you keep putting this into their heads, they're gonna. It's finally gonna. It will click in their head at that moment. But going back to what Sam said with the small departments, here's where our issue lies: is that, and we hear it in the workshops a lot, is that we only have a department of 30. We don't really run that violent stuff. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Like firefighting, fire is everywhere. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in a small department or a big department. Fire is hot. It could kill you no matter where it is. Right. You're bound to fight that house fire. As a police officer, you're bound. Doesn't matter if you're in Mayberry RFD. Right. You're bound, especially in times like this. You are going to connect with a violent criminal, and it's going to have some impact. So what a lot of departments are doing is this knee-jerk reaction after the fact.
Right.
We got to get the preventative issues taken care of now. So, like if you read the article I put in your magazine this month, is about coping skills. We have to make sure that the coping mechanisms that our officers have are not damaged from childhood traumas. They're not damaged from, marital divorces or family abuses, because how our officers react later on to a firefight goes directly to how they learned how to cope with things when they were children and before they got on a job. So we have to make sure, it's our responsibility to make sure that our officers are healthy. We make sure that they don't have COVID, right? Hey, wear a mask. Hey, we got to make sure that they're mentally healthy and that they have the proper coping skills and the decompression time after an issue. We can't let all this stuff build up and wait for that bucket to tip over and go, oh, now let's let's mop the floor. Let's empty the bucket before it gets full.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. You mentioned large towns and small towns. We had a horrible tragedy. I don't know if you've heard this past week that there were two young children, two toddlers that were killed in a fire in Galveston. As it turns out, the owner of the house was a firefighter. His dad was a firefighter. He got out of the house and tried everything he could to get back in that house and get his two kids out. And he didn't get them out.
Oh, my God.
And they both died at the hospital. So, it doesn't matter whether you got a town of 30,000 people or 300,000 or 3 million. When something like that happens, and look at all the policemen that were out there directing traffic and all the firemen that were there when they finally realized this was their own guy's house. This was his kids. What a horrible, horrible night it was.
Oh, my God.
And, you can't say that that's not going to happen in a small town. Galveston's not necessarily a small town, but it's not that big either.
Not huge, right?
Well,
and people think, oh, well, why do you need to do anything in Galveston? Those people are on the beach having a good time all the time. It doesn't
even
take
a small town. Let's look at it. Yeah. Let's look like Mike. You by Houston. You were over there. What's a small department off Houston?
Well, you've got Katy. They've only got like 30, 40 people. There's Village PD. I think they only got 20 people. So
let's once again, we got to look at the ripple effect as well. Something bad that happens in Houston is definitely going to ripple into Katy. So if an officer, God forbid, gets hurt, shot in the line of duty, right? We're not, our commanders and our chiefs aren't looking at the effects that's happening on these small departments because they're smaller. Oh, it doesn't affect them. It happened in Houston. But if a cop gets shot in New York, cops feel it in California. It goes straight through.
Affects everyone.
It affects everybody. So these are the things we have to really take a bite out of and look into, because it's going to get worse if our commanders are starting to lose, if our, the woke generation and everything else, if our commanders are staying, more worried about what bathroom somebody's going into besides, and not worried about your mental health. There's an issue there. There's a big issue.
Yeah. And, I think one of the big things that I've seen month over month as you've exploded in your readership are the businesses that are starting to invest in the magazine. And just share with everybody, you shared with me before the show, there's a company that advertised with you, and he's saving a chief of a department like oodles.
Yeah, so this month, C&G, which has they have a store in Houston and in Dallas. And so the ad that comes out tomorrow, they're doing it just for Blues readers, and it's 40% off, regardless of whether it's a special or a clearance or whatever. And so I have a friend that he was getting ready to order a couple $100,000 worth of uniforms, and he found out, I said, hey, you might want to call these people. You're getting 40% off. I mean, that's a lot of money. And so that comes out tomorrow. And we are seeing more and more people, during COVID, there was a slowdown in people wanting to spend money on advertising. So what we did is, in order to entice people to advertise, in realizing that their funds were cut. So basically we went back and I looked at what the rates were in 2000. And so we went back to the 2000 rates. It's like 60% off of what we were prior to COVID. But it is what it is. If you have limited amount of funds to spend and you still want those businesses to participate in the magazine, you have to do whatever you have to do to get them in. And if that means cutting the rates, well, so be it. We do have costs, but it's not like we're having to pay printing. And so it allows us to do that. So basically we took a full page ad that used to be $1,200. Now it's $450. Wow. And there's not another place you can spend $450 for a full page and reach 100,000 people. Even if you there's just no way.
Well, you got to think about it. You're saying reach 100,000 people, which really translates into almost 200,000 and 300,000. Because when you get one guy who sees that ad and goes, wow, this or whatever is giving 40% off, he's telling somebody else, who's telling somebody else, who's telling somebody else. So once again, you get a good ripple effect. So your advertisers are getting more than just 100,000. They're getting multiple.
And people say, well, where's it distributed at? And I go, well, the world. I mean, we did in January, we did a tribute, was 235 pages that we had put in the magazine, was a tribute to everybody who lost their life last year. I had moms calling me from all over the United States, thanking me for that. And it's like, how in the world did you find out about this? But one mom told another mom that told another family, and I had people from Ohio and California, Oregon, everybody. It was incredible.
All it takes is one person.
Yeah. And so now those people are all listed as subscribers. And so it really is multiplying. So at some point we're going to go national. We already have in this issue, I think that probably 70% of the news is not from Texas. It's from all over. In fact, I just got an email I'm reading while we were doing this from a police chief in Georgia. And he's pulling the city council just voted to make him take "In God We Trust" off his patrol cars.
What?
Yeah.
In Georgia?
It's in Georgia. I don't know the city. I'd have to pull it up, but yeah. Said that they're making him take it off. Can't have that on his cars anymore. So I don't know. I would probably put in woke we trust or something. I'd come up with something to put on. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
My goodness.
You know, and here, you know, when we talk about post-traumatic stress on the streets, the cops have more to worry about getting killed, getting injured. Now worry about what the city council wants on cars. This brings up a stress level. This makes you not want to do your job. This makes cops, you know, we're vilifying cops. We're making cops out to be the bad guys. And now we're telling them what they can and cannot put on their truck, on their cars. You know, I just read an article in the New York Post. And you know, I'm going to call out Eric Adams for what he is. He brought back the so-called anti-crime unit in New York. And the Post just did an article that the new anti-crime unit that he put out arrested a guy, gangbanger, with a 9mm, right?
right.
He was out on the street the next day. He was arrested 3 times in the past month on gun charges and robbery charges, but the system just lets him back out on the street. How?
Same here.
Right. So as a cop today, right? Am I going to go after you because I know these woke DAs are just going to let him back out on the street? So I'm going to risk my life to get a gun off the street if you're just going to let him out.
Right.
You know, and that's the reality, and that's the true facts about it. We have officers that are going to go, screw you. I'm not going to risk my life and put my family through that if this DA is just going to put him back out on the street the next day.
Well, I don't know what they do in Dallas, but in Houston, if you're in the Houston area and you drive any of the toll roads, so we have so many of them here. Every one of the toll roads has constables patrolling them. Okay. We just had a constable lost her life last month in her car when a drunk ran into her, burst into flames. She couldn't get out. And she died in that car. So how much is an officer's life worth as opposed to the revenue you can get from a ticket?
Right.
I mean, now if somebody's doing 120 miles an hour, obviously you need to stop them. But telling officers, well, you got to go out and make traffic stops. We want you to make 50 a night. That's 50 chances that officer is going to get killed.
Yep.
Or even if they don't get killed, the drunks here, they seem to like focus on your patrol car, see your overheads, and they zero in on it and run over you. And it's happening every night. It's like, for God's sakes, take those officers off the toll road. Why do you have to have them up there? I mean,
see it more and more.
Yeah. And they wonder why they can't get help. Right now, let me look and see. We have 265 listings from TCLO that are going in this issue for departments that need help. That's the number of departments that need help. So multiply that times 30 or 40 that each one of them need. And it's incredible. And now I remember when I started as a cop, the only people getting incentives to go to work were nurses. And nurses used to make, they go hospital because they make, now it's cops. I had police chiefs saying, hey, Barron, what's the highest incentive you have for this month? Well, isn't that kind of unethical for me to tell you that? And they went, look, Barron, I'm just saving you time. Because as soon as it comes out and we see the $1,200, we're going to call you up and tell you change the ad and make it $15. And I said, well, you're not anywhere close because you can go to Hawaii. No, not,
Florida.
Alaska will pay you $50,000.
Yeah, Florida, you're getting bonuses too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a huge shortage, and I don't see them filling it unless things change, because I mean, as much as all of us want to be cops, nobody wants to. You want to come home to your family at the end of the night,
Well, look at it this way: if you're a young couple, I mean, I know when I grew up, I wanted to be, growing up, I wanted to be a cop. I ended up failing the fire test, so I became a cop, but back when you were a cop and Sam was a cop and I was a cop, I was able to take my daughter to school, right? Like my daughter would take me to school for parent teacher day and, be proud of her parents being a cop. Now it's almost shameful because the schools are preaching how bad cops are.
Yeah.
And now a child is being bullied because their family's in law enforcement. They don't want to say anything. So as they grow up, they don't want to be cops. Why would you want to go risk your life? One, underpaid, way underpaid in most regions, for long hours, for post-traumatic stress, and God forbid you do something a little bit out of line by mistake in the heat of the moment, you're going to have a woke DA throwing your ass in jail, causing all family, suing you, losing your house, everything. The immunity is gone, everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the answer. They need it. Well, I think that a lot of these cities, especially in Oregon and California, they defunded the police, and now they're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Crime is through the roof. And now they're like backtracking. It's like, if you think people are going to go to work for you now, you're sadly mistaken. That
Right.
shit's stale. They're done with you. I don't know who you're going to recruit, but it's like, you made that choice. Now you're going to live with it. And now they can't get cops. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. Maybe you should have thought about that before you pitched everybody out.
Right.
And, now that crime is through the roof. And there was an interesting story in the Blues. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. There was a city council that voted to defund the police, get rid of them. So we're just going to bring some Theos. Well, so the city council all loaded in a van and they were going somewhere. Well, somebody broadsided that van and put it in a ditch. The police showed up and a police officer, one by one, pulled every member of that city council out of that bus, including the mayor, right before it blew up. And they had them all on the side of the road. And the mayor just told this officer, he says, I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry. He goes, it's an accident. You don't have to be sorry. He goes, no, you don't understand. We just left the meeting to vote to get rid of you. And needless to say, they undid that vote. So maybe that's what I'm not saying that the city councils need to be in bus crashes, but something needs to happen to them to realize that, your life depends on these people giving their life. And if you don't have that, you have nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very fine line. It's the blue line. And if there's
a lot of the city council who are voting to defund the police or abolish certain units within the police department. A lot of those people all have their own private security.
Yeah, right.
They live behind walls. They live in this false narrative. But if something happens to them out on the street, right, the first person they're going to call is 911. And I hate to say it, but I would sit and chuckle a little bit when I heard when Seattle was going through those riots and people were calling 911 and cops weren't showing up for 45 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it was. I was like, you made your bed. Yeah. You made your bed.
I love it when they say they're going to defund the police, but they still have 911. It's like, who do you think's coming when you call 911? I mean, really, who is it that's going to be coming? I mean, it's like, I'd like to be a 911 operator just for a night. It's like 911, what's your emergency? Nah, we don't have police anymore. I'm sorry.
We'll turn you a social worker.
Yeah.
Worker.
I can patch you through to social 911. They can help you. Well, what are they going to do? I don't know. I have no idea. Talk to you, I guess. I mean, that's their job.
Well, I digress a little. We've digressed, but I want to say that part of this defund movement, part of the stereotypes, all of this negativity, Mike, you turned this around and you decided to start a fundraiser. You were going to create something to give back to the organizations that make a difference. And could you tell us a little bit about that?
I think that is actually still in the magazine. We did start it. We started a fund. I'm not sure how high it is right now, but basically we're allowing people to donate money to this GoFundMe, and then we are dividing it up and giving it to all the different I think there's 3 different organizations that we're donating that money to that run suicide prevention for police officers, firemen, first responders, and anybody that wants to donate. I don't know
How
the
do they
link.
do that?
So it is in the magazine. They can click on that link. And
But do you know what the GoFundMe link is, so I could put it in the chat? Because I think it's important for people to see it's not just like, hey, this is not just a magazine. I mean, there's a cause behind it. There's a there's making a difference in what you're doing with your readers and I'll say viewers as well.
See, what else the magazine does is it uplifts the officers' spirits that are out on the street as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you talk about you do have the aftermath, you do have the war stories, but you also have the feel good stories that are in there, which make cops remember their why.
Right.
And that's the good part about the magazine when you skim it through it and you get that and you remember why you took the job, you remember why you're out there protected and serving. So it always brings you back to that why. And I credit Blues Magazine with being able to do that because every officer should be skimming through the pages, looking at it, reading the articles, and getting educated on.
Sam, I'm going to put the link on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And it's Blues PD Mag
on
Facebook. And I'll put the link up there because it's a really long link. And
the
name of the GoFundMe is called Back the Blues Support. They can find it that way. But I will put the link on there. It is a really good cause. And we haven't raised as much as we hope, but by the time this program is over with, who knows how much we'll
another $3.
We'll get some more.
Hey, it's not about the amount of money. It's about the heart that goes behind it. Look, we always say, it's real easy to donate $5,000 or a $10,000 check,
right?
But it's the hardest thing to do is just when to go to somebody and say, "Hey, you okay?" And when they say, "Yeah, I'm fine," call them out on it and keep listening. Right. Further the questions, keep going. Your conversation, to listen to the other officers, is worth millions of dollars that you can't even cut a check for.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no, I agree.
And if people would use if officers, and their family members who read the magazine, use the magazine as, like what John said, to remind the officers of why they got into the profession, to remind the families of why they continue to be there to support their first responder, or a lot of the articles help the family understand what it's like to be a first responder. But this is it's building and keeping together a family. And no matter how many of those woke DAs, call them what you will, keep throwing those arrows. This is the magazine's like a shield. We can use it as a shield, as a springboard to stay active, to stay engaged, to support each other. And Mike, we just want to thank you for coming on tonight
thank you guys
really
for having me.
Explain what
we enjoy it. We really appreciate the effort that y'all put into a story each month. And we want to promote everything that you guys are doing, and especially the events that y'all put on, and make sure that people know where those are and where they can attend, and try to get the departments involved as well. And
thank you so much for that. If you, it's as easy as visiting bluespdmag.com. Go online, sign up for your account so you can have access each month, and let's continue to create amazing conversations out there because they really are incredible articles.
Very soon we'll have an app for all you younger folks.
All right, you heard it here first.
Go to your Apple store or Android store and download Blues PD Mag and we'll have that. I think within the next 30 days, that should be available.
Wow. Okay. All right.
You can
Well,
still
let
click
us
on the link to
know.
the magazine every month in Facebook. So just go to our Facebook account and you'll see it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank
Yep.
you again, Mike,
Thank you,
so
Mike.
much. Stay
Thank you,
safe
John.
out there. Keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Y'all be safe.
All right.
Take care, Mike. Anything we can do for you, just ask.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
There you go. Wow. Just amazing. I'm going to leave the, if people are looking, it's right there on the screen. Sign up, bluespdmag.com. Again, access to phenomenal articles and ads in there with companies that really care about
Lots of
what we
resources.
do. Yes. And take advantage of what they're offering, because you heard it here first how much money that one chief saved. So it's about reaching a whole ton of people. Like Mike said, like the world. When somebody asks, well, how many, like the world. I love that.
Yep.
If you are listening and you have a business, you have a nonprofit, you have something to contribute, again, you can go on to bluespdmag.com, get a hold of Mike, get your ad in. You heard how they dropped all the prices. You're not going to find that kind of in print. You're not going to get a full page ad for $4.50. It just doesn't exist.
No.
So check it out and submit your ads. So we have got this month is like full throttle. I think
it is.
You're coming off the Ochos and you're not shutting down the motorcycle. You're full throttle. A Badge of Honor is full throttle. We have an amazing workshop, 2-day workshop for first responders and first responder families this Friday and Saturday. Guys, you want to go to abadgeofhonor.com because registration closes tomorrow. Okay. So you want to get on that right now. We'll be out in Lindale, Texas. So if you're within an hour's drive, make the drive. 8 hours, great workshop, and you get T-Cole credits. And we feed you, which is the best part, breakfast, lunch. Right there. Then we have got an incredible event at the end of the month commemorating Memorial Day, as they do every year.
Yep.
Carry the Load is just, they do a phenomenal job in bringing back the true meaning of Memorial Day. That is how they started, going on 11 years. It'll be 11 years this year. And it's blossomed into a movement which serves our military, so our current serving veterans, our law enforcement, and our first responders across the nation. And what they have been able to do each year with the money that they bring in is they have been able to support organizations that do the hard work, that really heal our heroes, that are in the trenches with the military, making sure that they've got a safety net and that they don't fall through the cracks. And we are just completely honored at a Badge of Honor to be a nonprofit, national nonprofit partners with Carry the Load. You can go to Carry the Load directly. Go to carrytheload.org. I realize I changed everything and I forgot to hit save. So bear with me. Carrytheload.org, and then search. You'll hit register, which comes up at the top, and you can join our team A Badge of Honor. You can direct donate to us. The key being that your money raised, 93% of all collectively, all the money from raised by Carry the Load goes to programming. I mean, they're in the midst right now of our 5 relays that have started. We got 5 relays going across the country, all going to culminate on Dallas. So Memorial Day weekend, Sunday, Monday.
That's huge.
Join us at Reverchon Park in Dallas. We'll be down there. with all the organizations. So, come take part, come be a part of your family. If you're a law enforcement, come down to the park. Let us have
Yep.
your back that day. Okay.
Yep.
If you're surviving family, come down, let us have your back. Let us support you that day. It is one of the most meaningful events that we get to take, just be involved in each year. It truly is. And if you just want to keep Mad Radio going and keep John and I and Jeff and John doing what we do at abadgeofhonor.com, you can jump on over there. We have the Carry the Load link there as well, but you can hit donate, and every penny counts. It really does.
Yes.
Because this stuff is not free. What Mike does is not free. Every little bit counts, and we so appreciate month after month, week after week, you guys supporting us, the feedback that you generate, and to all of our first responders out there, you have got a family. We're off the job now, but we're not retired. We are praying for you daily. We are bringing programs to you because we care about you. We want you here. You are part of our family. And I can't say enough about just, being partnered with you, John, and the amazing work that we're doing, making a difference in the lives of so many. And to all of our military that's still doing the work over to keep us safe here at home. Thank you so much for what you do, for all the veterans. God bless you all for allowing us what you fought for that allows us to do what we do here each week and beyond. And I know that I'm forgetting so much. So John, take us home.
All right. I just want to say one thank you to all, everybody who came out to the Ochos on Saturday night, all our law enforcement, our veterans. Remember, we had a powerful moment. So I want you to make sure that you always ask the questions, do the follow-ups on your fellow brothers and sisters. We have to be our brother's keeper if our departments are not doing it. Remember your why. Remember why you're in that patrol car. Remember why you took this job, and take care of your families. Make sure that they are mentally healthy as well. Me and Sam, John, and Jeff are always here for you, and we will come to your department. We will discuss. We will share our stories, and we'll let you know that you are not alone. So until the next showing, stay well, stay safe. God bless, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, everybody. Take care.
Peace
Night,
out.
John.
Good night.